Good evening, my name is Garrett and welcome to The Last Call. Tonight's final drink is 1205 Distillery. This is a 45% ABV, no age statement, rye whiskey. Now, a couple things here. First of all, 1205 Distillery is out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and home state. So big shout out to them. I do plan on visiting you guys at some point because you're not too far away. They actually are distilling their own things. They're not sourcing it. So it doesn't matter what you drink or how you drink it, as long as you enjoy it. But it's cool to see an Indiana distillery doing that kind of stuff. And the funny thing is, so they call it their four-finger rye because the little story on the side here, where's that at the side? Our distiller literally lost a finger for his craft, building our distillery specifically. That's dedication. That's awesome. Not awesome in the same sense. Bad wording. Nonetheless. So we also do know a mash bill for this one too. They're pretty transparent on that. It's 55% rye, 35% corn, and then 10% malted barley. Yeah. So I'm going to be curious on this. Supposedly the name comes from the date that Prohibition ended. And yeah, I'm kind of interested. I've yet to have anything from them. So as always, we're going to be trying it two different ways. First way, neat, no ice, no water. Second way, we'll add a drop of water, see if anything changes up. The idea behind this mash blend supposedly is a little bit smoother and easier for rye drinkers. It's not quite as, according to them, it's a less spicy rye whiskey. So I more recently started getting into ryes, so I'm curious on what they're going to bring to the table. And they do some other things. They actually do a peated bourbon, and I want to find a bottle of that. They do a rhubarb liqueur, they do a straight bourbon, and they do a wheated bourbon too. They're getting ready to expand out as well. I was reading on their website. I'm excited to see. Wow, already that does not smell like a traditional rye. It's jumping out of the glass. Oh, and if anybody's keeping track at home, this is barrel number 68. One away. No joke there. Beautiful color to it. Actually, it's got a nice yellow tinge. Almost green going on there. Beautiful. Let's go for notes. Whoa. That is... What is that? It's got a... How much corn was in here? 35% corn. You get a bit of that musty corn note. You do get that rye spice. But it is 100% different than any other rye spice I've ever smelled. I don't know why my brain's going this way, and please don't take it wrong. It reminds me of a tackle box. Like a well-kept tackle box. Not one that has worm stuff in it. But it's got that kind of plastic, and again, this is going to sound horrible, but it's got that kind of a rubberish plastic note, like fresh fishing lures. That's where my brain's going. I can't help it. Okay, slight fruitiness in there. There's a little bit of a fruit note in there. I would say just like a generic fruit, not anything specific. But you do get that, as I keep going back, I'm acclimating to that corn note. But it's got this kind of a fruit note in there, and I don't know what it is. Okay, let's go for taste. That fruit note comes across in the taste as well. That is, I would not have put this as a rye on the taste. Not that that's a bad thing. Even in the finish, there is this big burst of fruit at the end. Wow. Musty with that bit of that rye spice in there that's very sweet. You get that bit of herbal, but you don't get that medicinal quite as much. but you get this fruitiness throughout the whole time. And here in the finish, the fruitiness jumps. So it goes like spicy and a little sweet, a little musty, and then kind of goes down and goes boom with this fruit burst. Excuse me. That is the most unique rye I've ever had. That is, I'm kind of lost for words because it is so much different. You know, I went to the store and I was going in there to pick up a whole bunch of different Indiana products. And it was between this or their bourbon. And I decided to go with this because I picked up Cardinal Spirits bourbon, which I'll link above when it's live. And I picked up a rye and I picked up Hotel Tango's American whiskey at that point. So I wanted to kind of just jump around a little bit. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I gotta say I'm really digging it. It is 100% different than anything else. You right up front though, you do get that mustiness from the corn, which is not common for me in the ryes. And again, only coming at 55% rye. Most of the ryes I've had are higher mash bills of rye. I kind of like it. It's different. It took me by surprise, and that's why I like it. They definitely colored out of the lines on that. So I'm kind of digging that. Time to see what a little water does. Very curious in this point. You know, when you see a rye whiskey, you're kind of going with a preset notion of what you're probably going to end up with. So when something throws me a curveball like that, like, I'm all for it. I love having that kind of a ride. But that is completely different. I'm curious what the 10% malted barley does. Maybe that's I don't think that's what the musty, funky note I'm getting is, but really curious. Oh, yeah. Went a little bit sweeter. And I think I'm now getting the barley. I don't know if that's the power of suggestion from my brain. It's definitely sweeter, not as much spice. The fruit note isn't quite there either. But you get just in the background, that corn is just poking around the corner going, "What you doing?" Yeah, it is. Let's go for taste. Ooh. What did I just have happen? Starts off sweet, spicy, and then that corn just came and jacked me across the face, and then went back to sweet and spicy. So, I'm going to walk you through it. Sweet, spicy. That corn just punched me. That musty, funky corn note. Sweet, spicy, oaky. Yeah, that's it. Literally, it went those steps. That corn section really threw me for a loop. I was not expecting at the first punch. That's different. I like different. It's almost got a varnish to it. And I've had a few whiskeys recently that have had this note. It's got this kind of antique quality to it. I shouldn't say musty, because that sounds like an off-putting note. It's almost like an antique quality to the wood. The mouthfeel feels good. It's a little warming, a little tingle in there. Feels great. I like that. But even the antique note that I'm getting is not bad. but it reminds me of an old, like if this table was aged, 50 years, how that smells, how aged wood smells. This is how that's tasting, and not like musty or damp or gross, but well kept antique furniture. Not quite as strong as some other ones I've had, but it's got this little bit of a varnish, just a little bit of that taste there. Yeah, even in the palate, like the mouthfeel, there's a little bit of that antique quality to it. It's different. It's very much different. All right, let's talk about market price, because we all know market price is market price, and it's always going to vary. Picked this up for $36. Ryes tend to be a little bit more expensive, and being that they're doing it in-house and they're still a fairly small company that is growing pretty big, it looks like, this is 100% different than any other rye I've had. I'm going to go on the record as saying that I don't know if I'll ever taste another rye like this. That mash bill very much is different than a lot of other things. It's unique. If you're not a rye lover, let's say you've had Bullet and you've had other ryes, you might like this just because it is different. Though, if you love ryes, you may not care for this one because it's not the what we're typical known as rye flavors. Very much different. I think it's definitely worth a try. And for, I've seen some sites go as high as like 42, 45. I think 40s or less, I think you're doing yourself a service by at least giving this one a try. So yeah, there you have it. 1205 Distillery's 4-finger rye whiskey. If you have any questions about the bottle itself, let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you have any specific spirits I should go looking for, also let me know down below. I'm always up for trying something new and different and sharing that experience with you at home. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.